Well, the Super Bowl 59 matchup is set. The Krug Show after the AFC title game, the NFC championship game come to an end. It's the Chiefs and the Eagles one more time, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle and our good friends at Better as well as Sharp Corners. It's the Krug Show. Let's go right here, right now. All right, welcome to the Krug Show after football, not Niner football, but after the AFC Championship game goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, where I was there today for the meet and greet. It was great to see all of you there. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corda, Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get some brisket. Go stop by, say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. My friend Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. And this live stream is sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered into a drawing to win the free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey, which we will give away in our post-game show after Super Bowl 59. There it is right there. And, of course, Super Bowl 59 will be a battle between the Kansas City Chiefs trying to go to the Super Bowl, trying to win the Super Bowl for the third straight year, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch of the game we just saw 2 years ago. This one in New Orleans. So a week from next Sunday, Super Bowl 59. Chiefs win the nightcap, the AFC Championship game, 32-29, and the Chiefs have not been beaten at home this year. They're 8-0 at home, 15-2, on the year. Josh Allen and the Bills were good, but not good enough. Their defense, as I suspected, was not good enough, and they weren't good enough on the road. They were 5-4 on the road. They went 13-4. They beat Kansas City in Buffalo, but man, the one thing that you got to remember is that the home teams generally win on Championship Sunday, because you battle like crazy to get this game at home, and usually the home teams win. And today, both home teams won, the Eagles and the Chiefs. And what can you say, Kev? I mean, this Kansas City game, another impressive performance. Josh Allen looked good, by the way. He didn't throw an interception. James Cook had 2 touchdowns, but it was just too much Kansas City. I mean, Mahomes threw a touchdown pass. He ran for 2. Kareem Hunt had a touchdown run as well. Xavier Worthy had a touchdown. And on a day where Kelsey did very little, 2 catches for 19 yards, he was relatively quiet. The Kansas City Chiefs found a way to rule the day, and they get 8 hits on the quarterback and 2 sacks. And actually Buffalo did the same. They had 2 and 7, so it was pretty even from that standpoint. But Kansas City was up 21-16 at halftime, and then it was the Bills jumping on top at the end of the third quarter, but Kansas City with an 11-7 win in the fourth quarter, and they win at 32-29. What was your takeaway, Kev?
Man, I feel for the Bills fans. It's rough. I can't. Oh wait, let me change my mic. I have the wrong mic picked. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, Bill. Yeah, there we go. Much better.
Yeah, no, I feel for the Bills fans, man. It's like last year you had Bass, or not? Was that last year? Or was it last year with Bass missing a field goal? This year you have a chance with Josh Allen. It looks like he's making a Hail Mary desperation throw, but he really has Kincaid open.
Oh. Kincaid dropped it.
And he drops it. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I'm just sick to my stomach for Bills fans. That if he makes that catch, you're talking about, a minute 45 left in the game. You're in their territory. You're in field goal range. You can at least tie the game, but you can also run the ball down, run the clock down, and potentially score the winning touchdown. and you drop the ball. So tough. Before we, praise Mahomes. Mahomes is going to get all the praise he deserves. I want to praise Josh Allen. I mean, just an incredible quarterback doing the most. Came out early in this game, didn't look that great, almost threw an interception a couple times. But, going into the half, made an incredible throw to Matt Collins. Just an absolutely incredible throw and an incredible catch by Matt Collins. This guy really can do it all. It sucks that he's living in the Mahomes era. He has to face Mahomes in the AFC Championship game because, he's a guy that should have Super Bowl rings, but he doesn't.
Niner fans and Bills fans can commiserate together because Niners can't beat Kansas City and neither can Buffalo when it matters. I mean, the Bills and the Chiefs have met 7 times since Kansas City beat Buffalo to reach the Super Bowl in January of 2021. Buffalo had won all 4 of the games in the regular season. Kansas City had won all 3 that mattered in the playoffs. And, this was just another one of those where, Mahomes is Mahomes. I mean, he's unflappable. It's incredible. I mean, it's 29-all. And when Josh Allen finds Curtis Samuel in the back of the end zone. And then from that point on, Mahomes was just incredible. He completed 4 consecutive passes on the next possession. He set up Butker's go-ahead field goal with 3:33 left. And then, credit Spags, too. I mean, he had a corner blitz, an exotic corner blitz on the last play. I mean, that was fantastic play by Spags. And not only that, not just to have the balls to call it, but also to be able to execute it, and his guys did exactly that. So he's a great coach. They're a great team.
Watching the Chiefs win is just absolutely sickening because I'm a 49ers fan. They're a great team, obviously, but whatever you want to call it, like late game, 2-minute warning, final game and clutch, whatever you want to call it, they have mastered that. Whatever that is, they've found a way to be better than any other team in the NFL at that. When it comes to late game, it's just over. It's just like Mahomes in a close game, like with the time running down, like he's going to find a way to win. And it's just incredible what they've done. That's credit to Andy Reid. That's credit to Spags with the corner blitz to get the pressure on Allen. I mean, just all around, this is the first game. Did you know the stat? This is the first game this year that they scored over 31 points the whole season. It's incredible. They just find ways to win games. They're not overpowering you, but they're going to win games, and that's what they've done this year.
Well, I mean, and just look how good Mahomes is on the money down. I mean, in this game, the Chiefs went 6 for 10 on 3rd and 4th down conversions. I mean, that's really, really good. 6 for 10, you're going to take that every time. I mean, by comparison, the Bills went 9 for 20. So, I mean, which was good too. But, ultimately, and Buffalo in this game had more yards, 374 yards. They had, the very even stats across the board. Both teams ran okay. Buffalo ran 4.6 a carry. Kansas City ran 3.9 a carry. Buffalo was 3 for 3 in the red zone. Chiefs were 4 for 6 in the red zone. Penalties were pretty even. Kansas City had the 1 turnover. In fact, Kansas City won despite losing the turnover battle. How many teams in the playoffs this year have won despite losing the turnover battle? I mean, hardly any. So, I mean, it just shows that they can win any kind of game. Mahomes is just going to do whatever it takes to win. And I'll say this too. I just that some of the play calls, it's like if you really want to run with the Chiefs, you almost have to go down and start stealing some of their play calls and start really examining what kinds of calls they make and what kinds of situations. The Mahomes play that not the one that clinched it at the end, but the one where he threw it to Pirine, or he had Pirine like in the flat right in front of him. He rolled out. Basically, they moved the pocket. He was rolling to his throw side to the right off the bootleg action, and he had the back out there in front of him, and he just flicked it to him. And it's like he basically has, I mean, you can tell by just the way his body's positioned there that he's got the run pass option, right? He's got the bootleg, and he's got the bootleg action away, and then he's got the receiver in front of him. Either can the back can either serve as a blocker or a receiver, or you know what I'm saying? And he's got that option there, and they do this on the goal line. They did it to the Niners on the one play, I believe, on the clincher, right? It's like you just roll Mahomes to the side, and he can either throw. He's got the run pass option, and green grass in front of him. And when was the last time you saw Brock Purdy do that? Where all of a sudden he fakes the handoff, and then here comes the bootleg action, and he's got open green grass and the back and front where he could throw it to him if he wants to throw it to him. I mean, it's nearly impossible. It's like you pick your poison. You either take the quarterback and the ball comes out, you take the running back and the quarterback runs. I mean, it's a genius call. I mean, it really puts the defense in a bind, and Reed calls it often.
Speaking of option plays, I thought the best option play of the day was ran by the Bills when Josh Allen did that speed option where he's running and then he pitches it back to Cook, and then Cook has this incredible diving last second effort reaching over the goal line touchdown, and that was an incredible play.
Yeah.
That's credit to Joe Brady. So,
well, and credit Brett Veach, because Brett Veach, these teams traded picks at the end of the first round, and the Chiefs moved up and the Bills moved down, and the Chiefs moved up and they took Xavier Worthy, and Xavier Worthy was targeted 7 times. He had 6 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. He was the best wide receiver on the field, and Keon Coleman caught one ball for 12 yards, and he was the Bills pick. So just, the draft really matters. Credit Mac Hollins, by the way. I thought he played a great game for Buffalo. I mean, targeted 4 times. He caught 3 balls for 73 yards and a touchdown. I thought he was really good. I thought Khalil Shakir was really good. But you know who was kind of disappointing? Kincaid on the dropped pass, and then Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is the guy with the resume. He's the guy making all the cash. In that wide receiver room, Amari Cooper is the guy that they look to, I'm sure. He's the veteran. He's the big money guy. He was the hired gun at the trade deadline. And he just, they threw him 4 balls, cut 4 balls for 33 yards. I just kind of thought, if you had asked me, a month ago, I would have thought, okay, when this game rolls around, Amari Cooper is going to catch 8 or 9 balls for 90 yards and a touchdown. He was disappointing. I thought he was going to make he has been, but I thought he was going to make a bigger impact on. I
mean, I don't know what do you make. What do you make of this Bills offense? Like, obviously, they went to the AFC Championship. I'm not saying it's a bad offense, but it's just interesting. Like, they don't run your typical, like, I don't know. I don't see them running plays that we see other teams run. It seems like the position players that they rely on, it's like, okay, we're going deep, and then we're going to throw a really hard comeback route. And it just feels like every throw that Allen has to make is really tough. And on the other hand, it's like Patrick Mahomes is just seemingly getting these guys wide open whenever he's just throwing to wide open targets. I don't know. Maybe that's just anecdotal, but I don't know. It seems weird that Allen's like his favorite targets are like Mac Hollins, who can just throw deep to. Like, it's just odd. It's a little different. I don't know.
Well, they don't have the home run hitter, and they just don't have a great receiver. I mean, they had Diggs a couple years ago. Now you've got Mac Hollins, Khalil Shakir, and Amari Cooper, Dalton Kincaid, and Dawson Knox are pretty decent tight ends, but. Yeah, I mean, these were the weapons that they had. They got it done most of the year. But to me, more, I'm not worried about the 29. What worries me is the 32. What not worries me, but what would piss me off, or why did Buffalo lose? They lost because they gave up 32 points. That their defense let them down.
Right.
They didn't have nearly enough. I mean, 2 sacks all day. Jordan Phillips had 1. He kind of ran into it, lucked into it. They just don't quite. Their leading tackler was Cole Bishop.
The Chiefs didn't punt until the second half.
Right. Christian Benford went down with an injury. That was a bad loss. They're just not the Bills are not. It's not a great D. It's not a great defense. It's a really good offensive line. It's the MVP of the league. It's a collection of decent but not great weapons. And it's a defense that in cold conditions, when they sometimes can play very one sided because their offense puts up a lot of points. They can do enough, but there's some age on this defense. Von Miller, they did. AJ Espinosa didn't do much. They only got 2 hits on the quarterback. Only got 2 sacks on the quarterback. I should say they got 7 hits on the quarterback. But it's to me that the defense was the story here. Kansas City. This is not an awesome Kansas City offense, yet they scored 32.
Let's go through the drives. I mean, I think the Bills defense only made 2 stops the whole game. If you're not counting that fumble, the Chiefs went touchdown, fumble, touchdown, halftime. Then after coming out of half, they punted twice, but then they went touchdown, field goal, game-winning drive. So wasn't a lot of resistance there from the Bills D.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this too. There were some, Bills had long drives in this game. They had a 10-play scoring drive. They had another 10-play scoring drive. They had a 7-play drive. They had a 12-play drive. They had a 9-play drive. So, I mean, they drove the ball consistently. They didn't have necessarily the big play ability. Like if I was looking at this going, okay, if I'm a Buffalo fan and I'm looking at this going, what does Buffalo need? Well, I mean, they really could use a Xavier Worthy. They really could use a vertical threat receiver, and they really could use much more on their defensive line. Their defensive line is not good enough. So it's older. It's got some age on it. I mean, Ed Oliver's a great player. I love Ed Oliver, but the rest of that defensive line Rousseau has got some talent. It's just not quite enough. I mean, Buffalo's their defense, had many opportunities this postseason to kind of show what they were, and they're okay. They're pretty good, but it's not like a vintage all-time defense by any stretch.
You're right, and it's like I hate to be the guy that just keeps hyping up Josh Allen after he lost again in the AFC Championship game. But I think this really speaks to how good Josh Allen is. I would make the argument that the Buffalo Bills team around Josh Allen got worse this year. They're a worse team this year than they were last year. Like I liked their team better. Their defense, I think, kind of regressed this season. And they don't have the same weapons. He's throwing to Mac Hollins and Khalil Shakir as his top weapons. And I don't think their tight end, I'm blanking on his name, Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid.
He's been okay, but he's not like a superstar. He's just a solid guy. I think if anything, he's more, propped up in value because of Josh Allen.
James Cook, he's just solid.
James Cook is a solid, really good running back. I like James Cook. He's probably the best weapon they have. But again, it's like this team around Josh Allen isn't that good. It's just Josh Allen is Superman. He's the guy that's like, get on my back, and I'm going to take you to the AFC Championship game. But
I also kind of thought they could have handed the ball to James Cook a few more times. I mean, he ran the ball effectively. He had a 33-yard run. He was averaging 6.5 a carry. 13 carries on a cold night in January in Kansas City. If you look to the team that committed to the run, it was more Kansas City. Buffalo had balance, 34 passes, 32 runs. Kansas City had commitment to the run, 35 runs, 26 passes. So now 11 of those runs were Mahomes himself, and he had a couple touchdown runs. I just think, ultimately it's like, if you're going to beat the Chiefs, you're going to have to hit Patrick Mahomes, and you're going to have some negative. Their offense is going to have to come up with some negative plays. And when you look at what they do in the red zone, they don't give you that. I mean, they just don't make those plays. I mean, the Chiefs were 4 for 6 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. I mean, that's pretty good.
Also, I mean, this is. I mean, maybe Spags has figured out how to stop the tush push, which is going to be extremely important next, their next game in the Super Bowl. But Josh Allen and the tush push wasn't very successful. The Chiefs kind of stuffed him a few times trying to do that tush push, and Josh Allen might be the best quarterback at doing that. So, their defensive line or whatever Spags is going on that defensive side of the football. They are in prime prime condition on the defensive side of the football.
Oh, they're really, really good. I mean, they're really good. I mean, last year Charles Omenihu was hurt. He's healthy now. Leo Chenal's a big time player. Tershawn Wharton is coming on. I mean, he had a court hit on the quarterback. I mean, he's playing with tons of energy up front. Karloftis is coming into his own. He had 3 quarterback hits. Mike Dana, they're getting great snaps out of Mike Dana. We know how great McDuffie is on the back end, and Justin Reed is emerging as a really good player. And then they got guys who make a lot of tackles. I mean, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, Chamari Connor. I mean, those guys had put together a bunch of tackles. I mean, like 25 tackles between those 3 guys. So, yeah, Kansas City's good, and Kansas City's going to win again. And they really are. Let's talk about that first game.
Also, and one last thing, too. I just think that the Chiefs have a way of, maybe it's because they're not afraid to take a player that quote unquote has character issues, or maybe not a fan favorite in that area or department of life. They find value in those players. They have the punt god who the Bills I think drafted and then had to cut.
Ariza or whatever.
Right. They have the punt god. They have Charles Omenihu that he got from the 49ers. He's a great value to their defensive line. They're paying him almost nothing, in the grand scheme of things. Kareem Hunt. You picked up Kareem Hunt, and now he's a huge, extremely valuable player that was just sitting on the street. And he's like your primary back in the AFC Championship game. Credit the Chiefs. They find value in players and just, use them, and they make value, and they make them, and they just make them better. I don't know how to, I'm lost for words right now, but it's just like, that's what I've seen with them year over year.
The ESPN story says the Chiefs are the 4th franchise to reach 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Is that true? So let's see wait, that can't be true. That can't be true. They're not the 4th franchise to reach 3 consecutive Super Bowls. They also have won 9 straight playoff games. That's impressive. But it says they became the 4th franchise to reach 3 consecutive Super Bowls, but that can't be true.
Yes, they are. They are? Buffalo Bills.
Okay, Denver maybe?
1990 through 1993. The Miami Dolphins, 1971 through 73. And the Patriots, 2016 through 2018.
Wow. Okay. How about that? Didn't realize that. So wait, Buffalo, Miami, and New England are the others that have.
I didn't know Miami was like that in the 70s.
Yeah, they were great. Oh yeah, Don Shula.
Did they have the undefeated
Don Shula,
team?
Bob
They had the
Greasy.
undefeated. One of those teams was the undefeated Dolphins.
Yeah,
team.
72 Dolphins, undefeated. So there you go. Bills have not been to a Super Bowl since they lost 4 straight in the early 90s to the New York Giants and 2 to Dallas and then 1 to Washington.
I can't even imagine that. That is insane. Losing 4 straight Super Bowls. That has to be like, people must have been just losing their minds in Buffalo. That's crazy.
The worst thing is it got worse and worse and worse as it went. The first one they missed on a field goal that just, Norwood missed it, I think wide right. And then that was 91. That was the game the Niners should have been in. It should have been the Niners against the Bills, except Roger Craig fumbled. So that was 1990 season, January of 91. And then the 91 season, January of 92, that was the Cowboys beating the Bills. And Dallas was an awesome team that year. Now the Niners were favored in the NFC Championship game, lost to Dallas, and then Dallas went on and beat Buffalo. And then Dallas beat Buffalo again the next year. And that Dallas team was even more dominant, and it was a blowout. And then Buffalo lost again the next year after that to Washington, I believe. So it was wait, am I missing? Wait, is it Washington? Maybe not. Let me check that. I thought it was Buffalo lost to the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Redskins. But
they lost to the Giants, Redskins, and Dallas Cowboys. So they must have played one team twice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did
yeah,
it say the order?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
so
Giants, Cowboys,
1991
Cowboys, Redskins.
1991, they lost 20-19 to the Giants.
Right.
1992, they lost 37-24 to the Redskins.
Oh, okay.
1993, they lost 52-17 to the Cowboys. So they got blown out. Jeez.
Yeah.
And then 1994, they lost to the Cowboys again,
Right.
30-13.
Yeah. So I didn't realize. Yeah. They lost to Washington. They lost to Washington and Mark Rippon. That's what it was. I was thinking of Washington in the Super Bowl, but that was I'm thinking of Doug Williams, but that was earlier. So this was they lost to the Mark Rippon led Washington Redskins. So yeah, Giants, Redskins, 2 to the Cowboys. Yeah, and Buffalo was probably the best team in the first one against the Giants, and they just lost that one. The rest of them they lost, and they should have lost. Let's talk about the first game. The first game, of course, was Washington on the road against Philadelphia. And, man, I mean, I didn't know what I took the Commanders. I thought the Commanders would win on the road. But, the bottom line is you can't turn the ball over. And they turned the ball over. And they had four turnovers, and they had 2 in the first half. And the thing just got away from them. I mean, Philly, I don't think Philly is an awesome team, but Jalen Hurts was 20 of 28. He took care of the football. He had 1 touchdown. They sacked him twice. Saquon Barkley is having an MVP year. He ran for 8 yards a carry.
Which is
Philly as a team,
incredible. 8 yards a carry. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's like college, high school level numbers. Like what?
Philly as a team ran 36 for 229. And 7 rushing touchdowns, 6.4 a carry and 7 rushing touchdowns. And Jaden Daniels the Commanders' run game was nothing. Brian Robinson and Eckler couldn't get it going. Ertz had a big day with 11 catches for 104, but Diami Brown had a fumble early that they lost. McNichols lost a fumble. Eckler. They had 3 fumbles that they lost in this game. So, I mean, that's 3 fumbles and a pick, and Philly took care of the ball. And, A.J. Brown had a huge catch on a 4th down. He caught 6 balls for 96 yards and a touchdown. So, Philadelphia, what can you say? Philadelphia played really well. Zach Bond had 12 tackles. Philly had 3 sacks. Nolan Smith had 1. Oren Burks had 1. Jordan Davis had 1. Commanders only had 2 sacks. So they just, Philly just jumped them. They're at home. It's a tough place to win. And the Commanders fell behind. I thought Daniels, it wasn't like Daniels played horrible, but he had a couple passes that were like, who's that to? And just Philadelphia's the better team at home and with a much better run game. I mean, when you can run, for 6.4 a carry on 36 carries. I mean, my God, I look at this Philly team. This is the biggest, most physical. This is one of the most dominating offensive lines I've ever seen. You have Lane Johnson at right tackle. You have Mekhi Becton at right guard. You got Cam Jurgens at center. Landon Dickerson came out today with the injury. He's at left guard. He's a great run blocker. Then you have Mailata, who's just an absolute, once in a generation kind of a physical talent. So you just have, you have a Hall of Famer at right tackle. You may have a Hall of Famer at left tackle. You had a Hall of Fame center. He retired, but you've got some, you got Mekhi Becton, who's just a house at right guard. And then you got a terrific back. I mean, they're incredible. I mean, there were no negatives in this thing. Quinyon Mitchell was healthy and played. Jalen Hurts didn't show any of the ill effects from the week before where he got wrenched. They did get 1 injury to Kenneth Gainwell, so I don't know about his status for the Super Bowl, but I mean, Philadelphia might be able to beat Kansas City if they can run the ball 30 to 35 times at 6 yards a pop. I mean, I don't think they will be able to, but Kansas City's going to have their hands full trying to stop this Philadelphia run game. There's no doubt about that.
I know we say this every week. We say, you can't fumble the ball. You can't. This game, I'm telling you, even though the score was 55-23, if those fumbles didn't happen, this would be a really, really close game, like a really close game. If you look at what happened within this game, every single time the Commanders turned the ball over, it was immediately followed up by an Eagles touchdown. So the Eagles just immensely capitalized on every single turnover that the Commanders had. So I thought the Commanders totally outperformed their skill level in terms of their roster skill, their players, their personnel. And that's all credit to, the kid, Jaden Daniels. This guy is the truth, man. He's legit. He's a legit quarterback. You have a legit quarterback in Washington. Build around him. They're going to be a good team. They are the new ascending team in the NFL, in my opinion. I mean, it's not even my opinion. It's a no question. Yeah, no brainer.
Yeah, they look great. I mean, Daniels can have a great career. Ultimately, though, Washington had 9 penalties for 47 yards. Philly only had 5. Washington had 4 turnovers. Philly had none. So that's a big part right there. And
also just watching Saquon, I don't know about you, Dad, you have more experience than me, but when I watch Saquon Barkley, I'm like, this might be the best running back I've ever watched in my entire life. Like, the way he's playing right now is incredible. Just absolutely incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a running back be as dominant as he is with the ball in his hands.
It's funny how we spent the summer watching, Wellington Mara go, we really don't want to lose Saquon. We really don't want to lose him. And then all of a sudden, we really don't want. I'll be sick if he goes to the division rival. Yeah. Joe Shane's got to be the luckiest guy in the world that he still has his job. I mean, my God, you just let the only player that was good on your team go to your arch rival, and you had an opportunity to prevent it, and you didn't. You just kind of disrespected him on the way out the door.
Think about running backs. Like running backs in general, right now. Like I'm talking about the players that play running back. They have this thing where they think that they're not being valued by the NFL. What do you think running backs feel about the Giants organization? As you watched on camera, they looked at the best running back in the NFL and said, we don't want to pay you that much money. No. We just paid our shitty quarterback, Daniel Jones, over $200 million or $150 million. But I'm not going to give the best player on my team a dime. Like, it's just like a total fuck you to running backs. If I was a running back, I would say, I don't want to play for the fucking Giants. Screw them. They don't value me. And I think Saquon's kind of proving a point for all running backs, which is if you get a good running back, it's going to change your team. The Eagles are a way better team with Saquon Barkley than they were before him. Like, it's night and day. Like, it's a completely different offense. They went from being like pretty good to being dominant with Saquon Barkley. That is the value statement for running backs moving forward.
Well, and look at the last 2 years. The 49ers get CMC. He has an amazing year. They go to the Super Bowl. The Eagles get Saquon Barkley. He has an amazing year. They go to the Super Bowl. But the 3 areas though, +4 on turnovers. Washington had 9 penalties, and the Eagles were 7 for 7 in the red zone. 1 for 2 for Washington, 7 for 7 for the Eagles. The time of possession was dead even. I mean, they both held the ball for exactly 30 minutes. So it was really close.
I mean, the start of that game, though, I mean, it's just like, okay, so, the Commanders go on this super long 18-play drive to open up the game, 7-minute drive, 54 yards. And it's like they're fighting and clawing, and they get every yard. It's like, okay, you kick a field goal. It's like, all right, the Commanders are there. Okay, Eagles get the ball. First play, pitch to Barkley. He's just running all over people, and it's like touchdown. It's like, oh, so that's how this game's gonna go. Like, that's how it's going today.
He's a big back with home run speed. I mean, he's a dynamic star back. He was a blue chipper. There's a reason that Saquon Barkley was drafted as high as he was when he came out of Penn State. I mean, he's just a monster. And
oh yeah.
Now you went from running behind the Giants' disaster offensive line with no pass game to running behind the Eagles' offensive line with a complimentary pass game. I mean, you're looking at the difference, right there. And now we get the Andy Reid Bowl again. So the Hurts and the Eagles in the Super Bowl, second time in 3 seasons. And now they've got Barkley. And Andy Reid's Chiefs are in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 seasons. And isn't it interesting how, Andy Reid's in Philly, they can't get to the Super Bowl. Now he's in Kansas City, and they can't ever miss the Super Bowl. And Mahomes just lives in the AFC title game every year of his career. He's there. So it's Kansas City is going to be Kansas City probably. What do we have a early spread on the?
Do you want to take a
Super
guess
Bowl?
while I pull it up?
I would say it's Chiefs -5, maybe 4.
Okay, I'll pull it up. No, it is not. It is currently Chiefs -1.5. Don't tell me you're betting on the Chiefs again, man. Don't do it to me.
I definitely would take the Chiefs in that one.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are a better team this year than they were 2 years ago.
I don't know about that. That team had Jason Kelsey, who's a Hall of Fame center.
Let me pull up their depth
Fletcher
chart
Cox. There were some pretty good players there. Interesting, though. It's going to be interesting. Daniels, I thought, played pretty well. He made some big plays. He hit Terry McLaurin, made it 14-12. He led Washington to 6 straight victories until today. He was great. That kid is going to be fantastic. But you know what? You got to give Jalen Hurts credit. I thought his knee after, that terrible sack last week against the Rams would affect him. He looked great. Closed the first half with a tush-push 1-yard touchdown run, threw a 4-yard scoring pass to A.J. Brown to send the Eagles into the halftime with a 27-15 lead. He looked good. He did not look like a guy who in any way was compromised with the knee. So the guy's got miraculous healing ability.
I'm just looking at the old depth chart. I'm trying to find a good way to pull this up. It is kind of a similar team. Like, they have the same weapons pretty much, but they do have some. I feel like they just have a bunch of younger players now with DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Bond as a linebacker. You have N'Kobe. I mean, not N'Kobe. I guess N'Kobe Dean's on that team, right? Is he? But I'm thinking of the other Georgia. Who are their other Georgia?
Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And
they didn't have Jalen Carter, I don't think, right? Did they?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, they have a lot of new, younger players on this defense that I think, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Vic Fangio too. So,
well, Chiefs beat the Eagles 38-35 2 years ago, Super Bowl 57. It was a good game. The big play was Hurts had a fumble in the second half that was very costly. As far as health goes, Cam Jurgens, their Pro Bowl center, was active today. He played through a back injury. Landon Dickerson did suffer a knee injury and came out of the game. And then Gainwell was evaluated for a concussion that he suffered in the third quarter. He got kind of bent backwards. I thought it was maybe a foot or an ankle, but it was actually a concussion. So, yeah, this is gonna. I think it'll be a really good game. Man, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're just regularly going to the Super Bowl. There, Mahomes like, yeah, I'm really eager to get to New Orleans. What a great time New Orleans is. Some point, we got to get you to New Orleans.
They're like the prime, the Yankees when they were in their prime, where it's like, oh, if we don't go to the Super Bowl, or if we don't go to the World Series, it's a bust. It's like, that's pretty much what the Chiefs are now.
That's kind of the way the Chiefs are right now. It's just, now the whole thing is like, who do you root for then? Because I can't root for the Eagles. Their fans are just the most loathsome people of the world. They're all classless.
I know this is like the hater bowl. This is like the hate.
The Chief fans are the kind of people that stick their fingers down their throats so they can vomit on people at the game in like retaliation. It's like they're that vile of fans. It's like probably the most vile fan base there is. So it's like hard to really root for the Eagles just because of the disgusting nature of their fans. But at the same time, the Chiefs had a Hallmark Christmas special. That alone, everybody should root against them. They literally had a Hallmark campy, Christmas special starring Kelsey's mother. Did you hear about this?
I was there when you put it on the TV or something. It came up somehow, and I'm like, yeah, no, Dad. I'm like, Dad,
what is this?
I'm like, Travis Kelce's in a Hallmark TV show. You're like, you're joking. I'm like, no, yeah, he is. He's in it. You're like, I have
it was a Chiefs Christmas special. I did watch some of it. It was cheeseball.
That's so bad.
It was like a love affair.
Well, that's the point. That's the point of the Hallmark channel.
So cheesy.
But yeah, no, this is like, remember last year though? This is a similar thing that happened last year. Everyone was rooting against the Niners and everyone was rooting against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship because they wanted to see, a Bills Lions Super Bowl. And that's kind of the same thing that happened here. Everyone was rooting for the Commanders and everyone's rooting for the Bills again. And we got the two guys. We got Eagles and Chiefs again. So. I don't know if I'm really going to be rooting for any team, but it's hard not to root against Mahomes. I would like to see him lose. I mean, just selfishly, I would like to see Mahomes lose.
I would too, but once again, it's like I hate the Eagles. I don't want to see the Eagles, on top either. So
I saw someone post like a joke, and it was like, Jalen Hurts has now been to more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, I guess it's true. It's just like funny when you think about it like that.
Aaron Rodgers went to what, 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so yeah, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, considering how great of a player Aaron Rodgers was, it is pretty shocking that he only went to the 1. Now he did win.
That should speak to how hard it is to get there, right?
I mean, it's very hard. It's a team game.
Just take it for granted. The Chiefs at this point are taking it for granted. Like, oh yeah, we get here every year. But you got to remember, like, teams don't reach this. Like, Aaron Rodgers was a great quarterback. He reached the Super Bowl once in his entire career. That's incredible. That's so insane. I don't know why that's so crazy to me.
My man Joe Shasky from 95.7 The Game tweeted out, "This is the worst possible Super Bowl matchup, in my opinion, for 49er fans."
Jesus, he's right. He's right.
Commanders Bills would have been so much easier to root for. Well, what can you say? What can you say? I mean, this is why. I mean, how did the Niners go to the Super Bowl last year? They got home field advantage on conference championship day, and they had a bad first half, but Dan Campbell kind of wet the bed, went for it a bunch of times in fourth down, and the Niners found a way to win at home. Kansas City found a way to win. They were on the road, but most of the time, the home team's going to win on Championship Sunday.
This
key is getting it done in the regular season. The key is earning home field advantage, getting this game at home. That's the key. And the 49ers, shame on the 49ers, really. I mean, I don't want to make this about the 49ers, but shame on the 49ers. And in their go year, they allowed themselves to get involved in very costly, distracting contract battles with veteran players. And, it burned them. It absolutely burned them. But they should have traded Ayuk. Instead, they signed Ayuk. And, ultimately now they've got an injured player for big money. It cost them their year. I mean, think about it. In their go year, they went to camp with no Trent and no Ayuk. In their go year. I mean, if you really were serious about contending for a Super Bowl, I mean, how much better than the rest of the league do you actually believe that you are? Do you really think that you're that much better than the rest of the league, that you could go to training camp without your star receiver and your star left tackle after having having the most difficult schedule in football, the least rest, the shortest off season, and everything was just going to be fine? So it's like the 49ers did not play their hand right when it came to their, you got to take care of your business in the springtime. And, and somebody made the point the other day, a good Brock Purdy contract in September is way, way worse. As far as good, meaning for pro team contract, is better than a bad contract that you sign. I'd rather sign a bad contract and get it done in March or April than a good contract, favorable contract, but you don't get it done until literally week 1, because I don't believe you're going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl if your quarterback is not there at the beginning of mini camp, let alone training camp.
No, I mean, that whole Ayuk debacle, I mean, the injury is the injury. Him being injured obviously seals the deal in terms of his output for the season. But just that situation as time went on, it was juicy. It was fun to talk about for sure from the content perspective. But it got to a point towards the end where it's like, this is starting to become a lose-lose. Like, either they're going to trade him for pennies on the dollar to the Pittsburgh Steelers for some second round or third round pick and maybe a guard, or you're going to get Ayuk on a high value deal, never practicing like a few weeks before the season. And I think you did kind of lose because, I mean, I know the injury is out of your control, but he didn't play very well in the first few games, and they kind of needed him to play well. So, yeah, I totally agree. You can't have Brock Purdy, holding out. It's just not possible. You can't. That will not happen. It cannot happen. I saw someone on Spot Track. I mean, put out their projection for Purdy's contract, and it was something in like the 46 AAV number. And it's just not going to be that. It's going to be higher. It's going to be top. It's going to be shocking. I mean, I don't know exactly what the number is going to be, but I think, it's,
that
the public
194, that 48 point something is pie in the sky. It's going to be 60.
It's good. It's good. Whatever it's going to be. I would just say to anyone who's like, honestly, wants to think about this Brock Purdy contract, prepare yourself for a number that's going to be kind of eyebrow raising, because every quarterback, when they get paid, is going to be, it's just the way that it works. It's just the way that salary cap works. It's because the NFL is growing. Everyone's making more money. Like, in a few years, that salary cap, that salary number is not going to be top of the market. It's going to be, 12th or 15th. So it's just going to be shocking at first. And then we're all going to go back on with our lives.
Should we hit some supers? I got a couple points I want to make here. Somebody made a point here that I'm going to see if I could find it. Somebody had a non-super saying that 49er fans on here all seem to think that next year CMC is just going to be 100% healthy. Did you see that?
It's possible.
It's in there somewhere. I would say watching the Niners last year run the ball with CMC, watching the Eagles this year with Saquon Barkley, the 49ers, I don't want to hear any more fans talking about they can't take a running back, blah, blah, blah. Stop. You need more running backs, not less. You have CMC. He's coming off double Achilles. You don't know what he's going to be. You got restricted free agent JP Mason, runs upright, can't really depend on him. Isaac Guerendo has no instincts at all. He's got great size and speed, but he's got no instincts. So he's a great athlete, but nothing more. This is a phenomenal running back draft. I don't care if the Niners have a running back or not. I'm going to share the screen and show you this running back class. This is a crazy running back class. There's no less than 20 good running backs in this draft class. Ashton Gianti.
What website is this?
This is Draft Tech, which I would really recommend any of you go to.
I kind of like this website. This looks pretty nice.
Oh, it is nice. Well, first of all, so I'm going to show you. So if you go to the top here, you can go to scouting reports, or I think big board, or anyway, this tells you the big board. It gives you all the different, and then once you go to the big board, you can go by position. So I'm looking at running backs, and then the great thing is you click over here and it connects you to their website for their school. So now you get Gianti, Boise State, his bio. So it's really a great website. But we'll go back to this thing. Look at this list. Ashton Gianti, incredible, 5'8", 210, awesome player. Omarion Hampton, awesome player, 6 feet, 220, great speed. Cam Scatabo, now he's not the third best running back in the draft class, but whatever. You saw him in the bowl game. He was incredible. He could be like the replacement for Juszczyk or something.
Yeah, and I'll say that, and let me just say this too. Texas is one of the best defenses in all of college football. So if you had any worries about Cam Scatabo being able to play in the NFL, I think, Texas is an all NFL team pretty much on defense. So
he's going to play. It's just a matter of, is he just a guy, or is he some valuable guy? He could be very valuable. I don't. He's not a Pro Bowl player. I don't think.
Yeah,
but
no,
he's
I think no. I just think if he's
but
if he's in the fourth round, like you pick him up, like he's a contact balance.
Well,
like,
here they have him in the second round. I mean, this number right here is where they think he's going to go, 48 overall. So that's a little high, but whatever. People are excited about him right now. But there's no way he's in front of some of these other guys. Caleb Johnson from Iowa, great player. Now we get down to the Buckeye duo, Travion Henderson. They have him 69th overall. There's no way he's going that late.
It's possible.
They have Quinshon Judkins at 71. Quinshon Judkins is a Pro Bowl running back.
Well,
he's terrific.
He's not.
I love
fast.
Quinshon
I don't know
Judkins.
if he's fast enough.
But he's just so determined, so incredible.
See, I like Henderson because I think he's going to go to the pro day or he's going to run at the combine or whatever, and he's going to run like in the low fours. Like he's going to run
4.4. He's going to run 4.45 or something,
or maybe below
Quinshon
that. Like,
Judkins is going to run like 4.52. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I love Judkins either way. Ollie Gordon, Oak State, monster. Dylan Sampson from Tennessee, really good running back. Don't know much about R.J. Harvey. I didn't watch tons of UCF.
You like Devin Neal, right?
Devin Neal's got great speed for Kansas. I asked Matt Miller, the draft guru from ESPN. We just had him on KNBR last week. I said, give me a running back that you love in this draft. He's like DJ Giddens from Kansas State, the junior. Jarquez Hunter's a hell of a back from Auburn. Love him. This guy Mullings from Michigan is a horse. He's 235 pounds. He's a monster. Raheem Sanders is a phenomenal back for South Carolina. Taj Brooks is a bowling ball back. Look at this size, 5'10", 230, and he's just really hard to bring down. Damian Martinez is a good running back from Miami. Donovan Edwards is a good running back from Michigan. Bayshul Tootin for Va Tech is a tremendous back. Great contact balance.
That's a name.
Bayshul Tootin, yeah.
Bayshul.
Marcus Yarns from Delaware's real. Love him. Brashard Smith from SMU is a terrific back. I mean, there's just a lot of guys here. I mean, there's even guys I don't even see on this list. Where's the Rutgers back? Where's Kyle Monangi?
So there's roughly 30 plus running backs that could get drafted in this class.
I mean, then there's guys down here. Penny Boone. He's a good player. Mario Anderson was the MVP of the Hula Bowl from Memphis. He was a transfer, great player. Montrell Johnson from Florida is awesome. He is tremendous. They say he's going 4.21. That means he's undrafted. Micah Bernard is a good back. Ulysses Bentley IV is a damn good back if you watch Ole Miss football. If you watch Quentin Cooley in Liberty, this guy's another bowling ball back, 5'7", 220. Go watch the film of Quentin Cooley from Liberty. I mean, I love him. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt from Arizona is a home run hitter. Super, super fast and explosive. Jalen White from Georgia Southern is a great athlete. Incredible athlete. 6 feet, 215. There's just backs left and right. I mean, there's just tons of running backs in this draft. This is an unbelievable running back draft. And I don't even see Monangi on this list. Is he going back? Maybe he's going back. Anyway, so I just trying to make the point. There's a ton of good backs in this draft, and the 49ers need to get themselves a center and a guard and a better fullback and a running back and run the ball. Run the ball. All right, let's hit the supers here. Greg Arjasi. So obvious that the refs are on the take. 4th and 1. Josh gets the first down, and these scumbag refs take it away from them. That's the game. The NFL's rigged.
Yeah, I didn't like that play. If I was a 49ers fan and that was a 49ers game, I would be pretty pissed. I don't know. It's like I get it. Like the refs can do this thing where because the top ref on the top side of the field, he seemed like he was walking down on the it's a first down, kind of like that's where he marked the ball. But the second ref kind of was like below him. So it was like, but they can do this thing where they're like, well, if we mark it short and it's a 4th down, it's a turnover. So then we can go to replay and we don't have to make the wrong call. But it's like, right. That's one of those plays where if you gave him a first down and they challenged it, it's going to be a first down. If you don't give him the first down, you challenge it. It's not on a first down. It's like completely up to like what they called in the field. And they definitely sided with like, let's be safe. I think at least. Yeah.
We could have ref debates in every game, absolutely every game. Carlos says Allen, Lamar, Burrow equals Barkley, Malone, and Stockton. In other words, none of the Jordan got all the rings and Barkley and Malone and Stockton got to be on the dream team. Allen and Lamar and Burrow. Thanks for coming. But Mahomes has all the fucking rings. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's true, too. Yo Stricken says, Chiefs 9-0 at home this season. Chiefs' money line was a lock. I took Chiefs. I took them on the spread, though. I took Chiefs on the spread, but I had Commanders in the morning, so I lost. Mike 824 says, screw Philly. Philadelphia. This is true. Supposedly, Philadelphia is the home to the largest rat population of any major city in America.
That's terrible.
If you like rats, go to Philly.
I mean, every major city has problems. Let's be real.
I know, but I mean, are you telling me there's more rats than Houston? Houston's like a marsh.
Or like New York.
Supposedly Philly has more.
That's crazy.
Chris says Montana had a fraction of Marino's and Elway's arm strength, but he had magic and moxie in the playoffs when it mattered most. That's where I am with Purdy. Purdy is better than Allen, better than Herbert, better than Daniels. Wow. I don't know about Chris. Nobody would take Purdy over Allen, Herbert, and Daniels. But Herbert, I don't know if Purdy could be better than Herbert. In Daniels and Allen, no.
Well, Herbert
could be better than Herbert.
Herbert's almost like a special case because it's like Herbert's gonna do things that Purdy can't do, but it's like the intangibles of Herbert versus Purdy that you'd have to weigh.
There's something about Herbert that screams huge disappointment. DeBig says the refs helping the Chiefs again on that last play. Kincaid dropped the flag was thrown, looked like roughing the passer, but the flag was picked up. I know I saw that too.
I saw someone tweet out the flag was for what was it? The flag was so that even if Kincaid caught it, like it wouldn't have counted, like something like that.
Right. Escape hatch.
Yeah.
Just in case. Oh God, I hate some of the officiating in the NFL just blows. I hate defensive holding too. That's the biggest bullshit call. Two guys like run by each other's, sort of slow down, and it's like, oh, he held him. What? Stop. John Kalua. Andy Reid was the star tonight. When it comes to play design and when to call specific plays, the gap between Reid and Shanahan seems huge this year. I think you could get rid of this year. You could just say he seems huge. No, this might be the best chat of the night, John. I totally agree with John on this one. Go look. You want to know the difference between Reid and Shanahan? Look at the play calls that Reid gives in his offense when his offense is on the field in the fourth quarter trying to put the game away. He moves the pocket. He doesn't drop the quarterback back and just kind of hunt around. He moves the pocket. He kind of dictates to the defense, and he moves the pocket. He gets Mahomes on the move. And how many times? Think about it. Just close your eyes and think of Mahomes winning all these games. Think of Mahomes against the Niners. Think of Mahomes in all these big Super Bowl moments or playoff moments. What does he do more than anything? He either drops back to pass, and when the rush pushes upfield, he takes off running, big play down the gut, or the ball comes out fast, real fast, or it's Mahomes on some kind of movement play with options. Like if the defender's in your face, throw it. If the defender's not in your face, run it. I mean, it's just he's got options, and Reid's a master, absolute master. I totally agree with that. John, you're on the money.
Well, let me share the screen real quick. This is a Nick Wright tweet, kind of similar to what we were talking about with the basketball reference with, Karl Malone and Stockton, they didn't win. Nick Wright's kind of saying, even going one step beyond that. He's like, reminder, the following Hall of Famers won rings in years Michael Jordan played in the NBA. Kareem, Magic, Bird, McHale, Isaiah, Hakeem, Drexler, Duncan, Robinson, Shaq, Kobe. He shut out Ewing, Barkley, Stockton, and Malone. That's it. Mahomes is doing something different.
He's saying that Mahomes is
he's more dominant. Like he's shutting out the entire league. It's not like he's making the claim that Jordan only shut down a few people. Like there were other, teams that won when he was there.
Well, won the MVP. I mean, these guys won MVPs, but they didn't win the title. I mean, Jordan didn't really lose too many titles. Interesting. We got this from Claudaddy Arcades. Claudaddy in the house. He says Jaden Daniels had a great first year. Yes, he did. I think his dip in performance today further makes the argument to pay Purdy and drop the nonsensical talk of trade Purdy, don't pay him. Purdy isn't the 49ers' problem. Well, I don't know that, who's saying trade Purdy? I mean, nobody, I haven't heard anybody really say trade Purdy. I think that somebody floated out with the Titans come to the Niners offering the first pick in the draft. And that's still plausible because they could get very nervous about Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward and they need a quarterback. So they could offer the number 1 pick in the draft, but it would probably be for like Purdy in the 11th pick or something like that. And then the Niners would have to decide, do they want to go in a different direction? I heard a radio show today where the guys were talking about it. I think it was a national show. The guy was like, hey, Brock Purdy, if he's going to ask for $50 million and want that money in the $50 million range, the Niners are going to say no, and they're going to go to Kirk Cousins, and they're not going to pay Purdy big-time money. Well, I don't know that that's the case. That's not the indication I'm getting. I'm getting the indication that they are going to pay him big money.
Off topic, but I will give you credit, Dad. I don't give you credit a lot, but I think your best take, your best prediction take was during the Ayuk holdout when you said, the Commanders should want Ayuk because they're not in this rebuild that they're doing, like they're not that far away. They've added a bunch of young talent, and like I don't think that many people would have predicted that the Commanders would have been this good this year. I know you weren't predicting that they'd go to the NFC Championship game, but they do have some talent, and Jaden Daniel did have a great first year. They're like the new team. They're the new up and coming team. I'm excited to watch what Daniel does.
They drafted the best quarterback in the quarterback draft, and then they signed 22 free agents, including my good buddy Nick Allegretti. So yeah, they did a really nice job. And by the way, I think the Chiefs kind of miss Allegretti. By the way,
he didn't even start on their team. He was the backup.
I know. Well, he started last year in the playoffs. So. Claudaddy with this one, he says, love the Giants takes, LK. You're right. At the minimum, aim for the wild card. San Francisco needs bats and excitement. Could have potentially had a 100-plus home run hitter between Adames, Alonso, and Santander. Instead, Yaz, Wade, and prospects. Yeah, the Giants are really, if you look at them, they're not that bad. If they could get one more starter, move Hicks to the pen, then their pen is pretty decent. The outfield with Jung-Hoo, Matos, and Ramos is, Matos won the MVP of, I believe, the Venezuelan Winter League. I have great hope for Matos. I'm a big Ramos fan. Jung-Hoo is whatever. He's nowhere near worth the money they paid him.
Does Mike Yastrzemski have ownership over the team? Because I don't know. I've never seen a player that's been so mid that's just stuck around.
Oh my God, he's like Charles Johnson's godson or something.
What the fuck?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, what is going on?
He's okay. He's all right. Like he's not.
What is he? Lucille? He's like Lucille. It's like no matter what happens, you have Lucille. No matter what happens, you have Yaz, Wade, and Flores. Yeah, I mean, seriously, go for the polar bear. And I've heard my Giants connections who know the ownership group go, they're not going to spend money for the polar bear. Fuck that. Spend the money. And if you don't want to spend the money, it's not even about the money. Go get Andrew Vaughn. If you don't want to spend the money, just don't put a donkey at first base. You have a good second base situation, a good shortstop situation, a good catching situation. You have a good third base situation. The outfield doesn't look that bad. The rotation's got some young arms. As I said, if you put Hicks in the pen, you're not that bad. You don't have a first baseman to save your life. Get a first baseman. And all this talk about they don't want to block it for Eldridge. What are you guys, high? Eldridge is not going to be a Giant first baseman for 2 years. He's a 2026 idea. And the people that I've talked to who follow the minor leagues and have watched this guy say he's an absolute abomination at first base. So this whole idea that, go to Eldridge this year. Eldridge is going to be the worst defensive first baseman in the history of baseball if you put him out there right now. So you can't. He's not ready. He played in the Cal League last year, and you're not going to sign the polar bear who's a 30 home run, potentially 40 home run hitter, who's a great guy, who's in the prime of his career. You're probably going to make back half the money on polar bear paraphernalia that you sell at the dugout store. Do you want to win or don't you? I mean, the Giants can't say that they really want to win if they're just going to go with Yaz and Wade and Flores and not go. I mean, if you don't want to spend money on polar bear, I'll just tell you right to your face, you're a bunch of gigantic cheap asses because all you have is money. You don't have anything but money. The Giants are made of money. The Giants ownership group's the richest group in the history of San Francisco. The deal for the stadiums, it's a paid-off stadium. They're 10 times stupid if they don't spend the money. But even if they don't want to spend the money, it's not even about the money. Go trade Marco Luciano and 3 or 4 other prospects or failed prospects, suspects, and go get yourself Andrew Vaughn. If you got Andrew Vaughn and you put him at first base, he'd pound out 45 doubles. You could hit him in the middle of that lineup. Then you want to play Wade once a week against, certain matchups, go for it. Hey, you want to play Flores once a week? Go for it. Have a real 135 game starter at first base like Andrew Vaughn, who can pound out 15 homers and 45 doubles and hit 285. Go after him. Trade for him if you don't want to spend the money to sign the polar bear. But it's unbelievable. The Giants have nothing but money, and polar bear's out there, and it's goddamn January the 26th, and they're acting like the people are just going to show up at Oracle Park and just be like enthralled with what they have. The Dodgers had 10 times your offseason. Your Vegas over-under 79.5. Even Vegas thinks you're sub 500. Every prediction I've seen on the National League West has the Giants stamped as the 4th best team behind the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres. So, I mean, unless you want to win 77 games and battle the Rockies for last place in the division, go get a first baseman. Get somebody who can hit. I mean, I get the feeling they're gonna wait till March 10th and then sign like Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo's done. Or wait until the beginning of spring training and announce that they've signed Rowdy Tellez or something like that. That would be so Giants. Go get the polar bear, and if you can't get the polar bear because you don't want to spend the money, you're cheap asses. But then that's fine. Go get Andrew Vaughn. But to get nobody and to come back at first base with Yaz and Wade, I mean, come on, man. I mean, that is just sleepy. That is sleepy. All right, that's my giant minute for the day. Sorry to you Niner fans who had to absorb that. Mike 824, Sanders was the best running back I've ever watched live. Talking about Barry Sanders, probably.
He's talking about Miles Sanders.
Yeah. Talking about, Miles Sanders. Propa. I don't like either team, but I can't be salty at whoever wins. Niners have had so many chances and couldn't capitalize. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Jeb, third down Chiefs pick play. It's the blueprint. Yeah, seriously. Start copying some of their plays. L. Kurtz, I'm here for the Warriors' downfall. Go Lakers. All right. Kev, you got a final thought before we bolt for the door? We've been going for a little bit over an hour. We're back tomorrow morning doing a stream with Damon at 9. And then we'll be doing a bunch of stuff throughout the week. Niners Nightly tomorrow night at 6 o'clock on the Sports Leader. But you have a final thought on either game before we bolt for the door?
Yeah, I mean, I thought in the Eagles-Commanders game, we saw the better team win. It's not Jaden Daniels is a nice story, but when you fumble that many times and just your overall skill talent on the talent on the team, the Eagles are a better team. I think that the Bills really had a chance to, finally win this one. I think that, Josh Allen did everything he could and just fell short again because the Chiefs are just going to execute, man. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot at the end of the game, and they're just professional winners, man. And that's all you can really say. I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I hate this or I hate that, or I'm super angry about, but it is really, I think I saw Vish Kumar put out a tweet, and I totally agree. It's like since Mahomes walked in the league, it feels like I've been watching the same season of the NFL every single year. That's kind of how it feels. It's like it's just the same old, oh, Mahomes, oh, the call, and now everyone's complaining about. I don't know. It's just a shit show. I still love football. I'll still be watching the Super Bowl, but I'm disappointed. I really wanted the Bills to win that game.
It is interesting too, and it's maybe a discussion for another day because we know the Niners are getting ready to pay Brock Purdy, and I believe they should. He's their leader. He's their hardest worker. I think he's a really good young quarterback. I think they should pay him. I think he's easily the best that they can do this offseason as well. But I have noticed that you have Mahomes dominating this era, and then who's getting better at a rapid rate? Well, the Texans appear to be, and the Lions appear to be, but they haven't been able to win. They haven't been able to climb to the top. Who's that? And now the Commanders. The Commanders, yeah. And it's like, what did those teams all do? Well, they all had a gigantic injection of talent, right? The Texans made the Deshaun Watson trade. They got like 13 players and picks out of that, and they've rebuilt their team. They've got all kinds of depth because of it. The Lions made the Stafford trade and wind up getting Goff and a bunch of picks and turned all those picks into a bunch of great players. And look at them. And it's like seemed like that's like the way to go. It's like that. It's like if you're gonna, and then Washington this year. I mean, they came in, they took the right quarterback, and then they went and signed like 20 guys. They signed all these free agents, and they really got it all together. They added a lot of talent in a short amount of time. I guess my point is that look at what it takes. These teams turned over their teams by significantly, adding 20 players, 25 players in a single offseason. So I just think that, I'm not saying the Niners ought to trade Brock Purdy, but it is interesting that these big trades that seem to, net, some teams lots of extra picks, that seems to be how these teams are starting to build up around Mahomes. Nobody's been able to climb the top of the mountain. I guess my point is, I think my plan would be in this draft to not take a player at 11, but to take advantage of the fact that you're at 11 in such a coveted spot by trading down 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4 times, getting into the 20s, getting into maybe the 30s, securing 5 extra picks, turning them into 4 extra players. I really think it's going to take a gigantic draft class for the 49ers to reset, because they're not going to hit on every pick.
I hear you.
So
I hear you. I think
it's going to take almost every spot on the team. They need another back. They need a fast receiver. They need at least 2 tight ends. They need at least 2 or 3 offensive linemen. They need at least 2 or 3 defensive linemen. They need at least 2 linebackers. They need at least 2 defensive backs. I mean, they have a lot of needs, and it might be the best route to, instead of wind up with a pick in the first, a pick in the second, a pick in the third. How about a pick at the end of the first, 2 picks in the second, and 3 picks in the third? Something along those lines.
I hear you.
I think that's the route I would go. That's how I'd play my
hand. Two things on that. One, I completely agree. I think that the NFL draft is where your franchise is made. There's practices, there's game plans, there's coaches, but at the end of the day, the players are playing. And if you have good players on your team, you're going to have a good team. And the NFL draft is just, it's just insanely valuable for so many reasons. You're getting young players, you're getting players that are playing on, lesser contracts. So it's just like the gold mine in terms of making your teams better. And I think that shows in like the Denver Broncos. They have a bunch of young talent. They were an ascending team. The Rams defense, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, all those guys they got on their defense, Kobe Turner, like they went from a team that was, in deep shit with, their money situation after paying tons of money for Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald for all those years, immediately bounced back after a great draft. The other thing I'll say in terms of moving back, I agree with you. I think, the Rams, we when they played the Vikings, we did a post-game show, and we looked at their draft picks, and they had last year they had 15 draft picks. It was like, what? And we were just like, I'm like, Jesus, these guys had so many picks. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you get so many bites of the apple, you're bound to find some good players. So I agree with you. The only thing I'll say though is that if you are in a position where the Niners are at 11 to take a future stud Pro Bowl level tackle, I would think about that decision, because I don't know if you're going to be able to, when you're going to be at that position again.
Offensive tackle?
Offensive tackle. I don't know when you're going to have the opportunity in the future to get a, Will Campbell.
I hear you.
Calvin
I hear you.
Banks. So that's the only thing I would be considering.
I hear that. I think Will Campbell's probably the blue chipper over Banks. Yeah. The draft tech mock that I'm looking at has the Niners taking Mason Graham at 11. I don't think he'll be there, but they have him taking Mason Graham. Also, Malachi Starks is on the board as well. Jalen Walker. So we'll see. There's a lot. There's a lot that has to happen between now and the draft, and there'll be lots of moving around and that kind of thing. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for sure. That does it for us. Thanks to Better, and once again. Download the app. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does automatically is entered to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey, which we will give away on Super Bowl Sunday. And thanks to Pig and a Pickle. It was great being there today. It was great meeting all the people that were there at our meet and greet, third annual meet and greet at Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. My good friend Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. And that's going to do it for us. Have a great night, everybody. Excellent football. And tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the Krug Show. Damon will be in the house. We'll chop it up on some of these games and look ahead to the offseason that lies ahead for the 49ers. So looking forward to that. A lot of good football discussion between now and Super Bowl Sunday. For Kev, I'm Larry. Kev, great to see you. Great stream. Lots of people in here tonight. Appreciate every single one of you. And for Kev, I'm Larry. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.